Hi, and welcome back. In this week, we're going to reflect back on our last video where I walked through a project that I was doing for my very first cardigan. And I was combining different patterns and making some adaptations. So in the last video, I talked about it really wasn't about fixing the pattern, it was about me personalizing it. And that's what I love about textiles or fabrics or yarns. It's that creative twist that you can make sort of to any pattern. So I wanted my channel to encourage people to put their own unique spin on your project. And it could be things like doing a stitch swap. I kind of often swap stitches. Here I combine stitches. It could be adding a textured panel. It's, about your color choices and your yarn choices. I have a very different yarn and a very different color. Or it could even be about making a construction change. So when I talked about the project last week, I talked about all of these things, and you can refer back to that video, but I also highlighted a huge error, and today I'm going to talk about how I frogged it and fixed it. And the error was I wanted a tighter rib on the shawl collar, and I went down a size on my hook and I tightened up my gauge, and I was thinking about the increased width I would need, but not the length. And so I now had 5 inches on the front shorter than the back, and I frogged it out. I added in 15 stitches to account for, again, the 5-inch difference that I knew I had created, and it's working out perfectly as per the pattern. So I didn't change any of the other elements. I still like that tighter rib. I did that again. And again, I had just enough yarn left from my third bundle in order to kind of frog it out and fix it. So I now have the longer cardigan. Again, the front is long. It now matches the length at the back, and it's working out perfectly. I'm really enjoying the cardigan. It's one of my favorite kind of pieces in the closet as we've had a horribly cold winter. So not the worst, just a bit frustrating. I did, however, make one additional change to the cardigan, and I thought that might be something that is new for a lot of my viewers because it's something that comes out of my sewing background. And as I looked at the relaxed fit of this pattern, which is one of the reasons why I chose it, and kind of saw how my yarn was really stretchy and flexible, I did start to think about all the weight of this yarn hanging off the back collar. So the designer did design the back neckline or the top of your shrug from the chain, but you can see the yarn that I'm using, which is a different yarn, is really stretchy. And so I'm starting to think about the number of times I'm going to wear it and wash it, and will that shoulder line stretch out? I'm sure you might even have knit sweaters that kind of constantly fall off your shoulders and you're pulling them up all the time, and it can be frustrating. So I started with the marks that the designer had told us to put in for the top 2 corners of the shrug, and was trying to mark exactly where the kind of falls on my shoulder. And again, it's a really stretchy yarn. So how I reinforce this, as you kind of would in sewing, is a thing that I do even with knit sweaters, and that's to add a crochet line of slip stitches exactly where I want that shoulder definition to be. And if you're doing it with a little bit of yarn that you have left over, it really is invisible underneath, the knit or the crochet stitch. So I've added it in starting across one shoulder. I, just because I'm lazy, carried it all the way across the neckline because, again, I can't hurt to reinforce that neckline that's carrying all of the weight of the yarn, and ran it down the farther shoulder. And I wore it for a couple of days by not tying it off and just sort of making sure I had it on the right place as you kind of take the cardigan off and on a couple of times. And it could be now that I even go back and put a second kind of line in, just again to really, well, I have the yarn and I haven't misplaced it, kind of reinforce that shoulder. It does, I find, help with fit. So I find it just helps the hang from your shoulders look right and sort of break at the right spot. So even though this is a really relaxed sweater, that is sort of giving that shoulder line definition. But more importantly, I thought, because of the yarn that I'm using, Over time, it's going to stretch out. I'm going to wash this a lot. It's a machine washable yarn, and I thought it would just help reinforce the shoulders and not have them stretch out and kind of again look like I have a worn sweater well before the kind of desired expiry date on it. So again, I've used this on raglan sleeves. I've used it on knit sweaters. You can crochet on the inside of the knit sweater with a matching yarn, and I do find it works wonders. So I hope that is a helpful tip. Now, I'd love to hear from people if you have cardigan patterns that you have tried and loved. Crochet is my favorite. This was the very first crochet pattern that I tried, and again, I'm combining different patterns together, embellishing them a bit because I just love baubles and it's whimsical and it makes me smile. But I'm happy with the fix that I've done. It kind of now looks great and it's soft and wonderful to wear. So thanks again for watching. And please do, if you liked our video and the tips we gave today, do a thumbs up, or if you didn't, a thumbs down.